Hi scrappy friends! I'm here today with a bit of an art journal video, except it's not in an art journal, it's just on a page, if you get me. Don't really know, at this point in time I don't have a game plan. I know that I don't like the colour of book pages. I prefer white. So I'm going to white out the book page with some gesso. Haven't told you what I'm doing, have I? Welcome to this video for Lollipop Box Club using their April kit. Pretty much everything I use is from the kit. In the kit is this tiny little pot of paint and a little snippet of writing from Lisa, who curates and makes the kits, saying or suggesting that you could paint some leaves. There's 2 little bits of mixed media paper in the kit as well, so I'm practicing on that. I took 4 or 5 leaves to get into the swing of things, and then I was away. I'm putting the tip of the brush to the paper and then pushing down with more pressure as I move the brush along, and that naturally gives you the shape of a leaf. I was having a bad day when I was doing this, and I needed to just creating is my therapy and is good for my mental health. So this was very much a just sit and paint and don't think about anything other than the colour and the texture and the patterns that the paint is making as you drip in more water or more paint. It's very therapeutic for me. As I said, I didn't really have a game plan other than just to create. So I am doing leaves. The process of doing something over and over is also therapeutic. So I'm doing lots of leaves. And it turns out well in the end, so I'm glad I did lots of leaves. I'm going to pop on some music now whilst the rest of the painting plays out. And that's it for my leaves, but I've got that bit of paint left over. So add a bit of water and smush my gessoed page in it. Now I'm really impatient and speeding up all of the drying time with my heat gun during this project. Adding more paint and then drying and then adding a layer and then drying and building it up in lots of thin layers. Splatters, because always splatters. And I finish up with splattering some water over. So when the water hits the wet paint, it spreads and it does its own sort of magic mixing and creates lovely effects. I'm going to come back to those leaves which are now dry and fussy cut them out. Now, usually I don't show fussy cutting, but I was watching the footage back and I thought it's quite interesting actually. My scissors barely move. Obviously there's the up and down motion of the blades opening and closing, but all of the twisting and turning around the contours of what I'm cutting out is done with my left hand and not my right hand, which have the scissors in. Also, you might notice that I'm using a huge pair of scissors. I find that the handles, bigger handles, suit my hands better and are therefore so much more comfortable. I don't get cramp in my thumb, my fingers aren't squished, and so big scissors are my scissors of choice even when I'm fussy cutting detailed things. So I've quickly cut the rest of them out and we're back on to my book page, which has been layered up, and that's the idea that's forming at the moment. I want a bit of craft, green and the leaves, but do I want the craft because the white and the green alone are popping for me at the moment, so I've put the craft to the side. I have gone to my sewing machine and I've added a load of white sewing around the book page. I've crumpled it all up and I'm adding even more tears and folds and bends and creases, and I'm really going for maximum texture. I have adhered it to one of the sheets of green card from the kit really loosely. I've used two, they're not foam, they're like gel, dimensional adhesive gel pads, I suppose you call them. If we call foam pads, I suppose these are gel pads. Anyway, they are really, really strong. So two will hold this piece in place with no problem. They're adding a tiny bit of dimension, but I've used them towards the centre of the page so that all of my edges are still folded and bent up, and again, maximum texture. I decide that I'm going to string my leaves together and make kind of like a vine or a plant, I suppose. I need more leaves. I feel like I'm missing a bit to the left, so I'm going to quickly paint up some more. There's a bit of wiggling and faffing, but finally I get it in place and I decide I'm happy with how everything's looking. They feel a little bit unsecure at the moment, so I add a couple of dots of glue, but what I found worked even better was kind of intertwining the leaves. So what's on top is tucked underneath, what's underneath is reaching over, and that seemed to give everything a much more sturdy feeling. So that little strip of paper covered in tiny scriggly writing is everything that was going through my head. As I said, I was having a bad day and I just got it all out. Tiny scribbled writing that if anyone did come across, they would find very hard to read, which is how I like it. I don't like to think about people reading what I've written. One of the postcards in the kit had part of a quote on, and that part just struck me. as I put it on the page, I thought I don't want this page to have that as its sentiment. So I turned the bag over and I've put another sentiment, be free, on the outside, which will be showing. So as I see it, and you might think I'm completely crazy, and that's fine, I have journaled and sorted everything out in my head, put it in a little bag, put what part of the problem was on the bag, turned it over and stuck it down, and now that's done and sorted. And there we go. I added a copper paper clip, which added a really nice warm tone, and then decided, well, maybe I'd like a bit more colour. So I popped on a couple of butterfly stickers. And then I picked up on the purple and the copper with some sequins from my stash. And there we go. Finished. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!